Hey guys, it's Andrew or Feel No Pain, and today I'm going to be doing a review on Diablo 3. I'm also including the Reaper of Souls expansion in this. I know it's been out for a couple years. I just kind of wanted to let everyone know the changes that have been made, the updates, and the problems that the game originally had that have been fixed. That seems like a lot to go over, but it's actually pretty simple. The bottom line of it is they've fixed most of the real big gripes people had at the beginning of the game. To start, I'm going to put the specifications, the minimum and recommended system requirements on the screen. Should be seeing them. Just so you guys can look at those. It doesn't take a really high-powered computer. I'm pretty sure the computer I had like 5 or 6 years ago ran it at least, moderately well at low graphics quality, and the one I have now has no problems with it. Even the one I had previously did pretty well on high quality graphics, so that shouldn't be an issue. The first thing I do want to talk about is the cost, just so as I talk about the game and the pros and cons and kind of the good and bad, you can keep in mind how much it costs and if it might be worth it for you. Most of the games I seem to do are Steam games, just because it's an easy way to find and download games and get cheap games and review stuff that maybe people haven't heard of, because there's so much different stuff on Steam. So this one actually isn't. It is a Blizzard game, and I know I've already done Heroes of the Storm and talked about Blizzard, so I won't have that speech in here again. But I love Blizzard. Most of their games that I've played that are awesome. This was one exception when it came out. This was unfortunately kind of a bust. They tried something new, and I give credit for that, but when this game came out, there were problems. Right now, the game's still running $40 for the base game on Battle.net, or Blizzard's website. It's also $40 for the expansion, the Reaper of Souls expansion. I'll never say that right. I don't know why. But that means that it's $80 for the full game as it stands now. Granted, that's a lot of money, but without the expansion, you can still play for a good while, and even if you think it's going to be something you like, you can see if it actually is or not. So that's at least not so bad. You don't have to put $80 into it right away if you don't want to. But yeah, Diablo 3 started, and they decided to try a real money auction house. This game is an action RPG. It's much like Torchlight. I'm going to have that link in the ending of the video. So if you haven't seen the Torchlight one and you kind of want more in depth on what an action RPG is, although I didn't go in depth with that because these have been around for ages. I mean, the original Diablo is over 15 years old now, I believe. I think it was like 1996. But these kind of games have been around for ages. There's Path of Exile, which is a huge free-to-play one. There's Torchlight, which is relatively inexpensive. And the question that most people are probably asking is, if you can get Torchlight 2 for $20 or Path of Exile for free, why pay $40 for Diablo? Or why pay $80 for Diablo? And the truth is, it's because Blizzard does so well at constantly updating and adding new things and creating more opportunities. You're not going to get infinite playtime out of this. The gameplays you're seeing are my monk and my witch doctor. This one's my monk. My witch doctor's the one after. But I think I've played about 200 plus hours on each character. Maybe even more. Maybe even 300. That's a lot of time. I've put almost 1,000 hours into this game, and that was just solo. I'm actually going to have a video out at the same time as this one about... it's just kind of some goofy stuff, me playing with a friend, but it shows how kind of silly and fun co-op can be, and I don't think this is a game that should be taken too seriously. The Diablo games have always been dark, and one of the biggest problems people had with this one is the fact that it's not. There's still a lot of creepy looking things, as you can, plainly see, and a lot of scary monsters, but Diablo 1 and 2 were very, very punishing. There were bosses where you'd be doing fine, and then you'd come up on a boss, and you would have to really manage your resources and spam and waste tons of potions, because you would almost get one shot by certain attacks and certain moves, and then you'd have to run away and just blast through a handful of potions. And they were brutal games, especially when you get into the really high levels, high difficulties. You had to have a strategy, you had to have a build, you had to have a setup that was really good to even functionally kill things at a level that would get you decent experience on Nightmare, and I think Hell and Inferno have been in all of them. But what they did with this one initially was they had that. They had there was normal, Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno difficulties, and you had to go through the story 4 times. You had to go through it once, which got you to about level 30, and then you did Nightmare, which got you to 45. I think Hell got you to 52 or 53, and then Inferno, you'd hit 60. Or maybe I'm wrong. No, it was Nightmare got you to 50, Hell got you to 60, and then you could do Inferno, which was crazy. And it went through a lot of iterations on this game, where Inferno had various difficulties that you could make it even harder. And the problem people were having at the beginning was that the game was so simple to blaze through, but it took 20, 30 hours to get through the same old story 3 times. And then you do Inferno and just get absolutely destroyed, and the drop rates on items that were upgrades or would be good enough to get you farther into Inferno were just not even right. You'd play a couple 100 hours on a character and barely even notice that you were any stronger. Then there was the Real Money Auction House at the beginning, which was good, which was there for a year, and that caused people to basically buy and sell items. And since farming them was so hard, if people would find a really good item instead of using it, oftentimes they would sell it for, I think the maximum you could sell things for was $250 for a single item, which was just absolutely obnoxious. There's no reason for that kind of money to be going through. And of course Blizzard took 10% of, I think it was 10 or 15% of the sales. So it was a little bit money hungry, I think. I don't think it was maybe meant to be that way necessarily, aside from the fact that it ended up looking that way, because it split the community into people that were willing to spend real money and became insane at the game without putting any time into it. People that weren't willing to spend the money and therefore never really got past, the beginning of Inferno because they didn't want to grind forever. And then there were also the people that were the standouts that were like, well, I don't want to spend real money, but I'm willing to grind for thousands of hours to become good. And I think what it was nobody was really happy with it. The people who wanted to grind for 5,000 hours were pissed off that there were people that played for 10 hours and then had all the good stuff because they paid for it. And then there were the people who were willing to pay for it that were pissed off that once they paid for that money, there was nowhere else to go. There was nothing else to do. And over time, they just sort of added things and tried to make it interesting, tried to keep it good, but it never really worked because the auction house just destroyed any level of enjoyment or, you could put in a new challenge, but people just either buy their way there or be so far behind that they had no idea. They were just like, I don't even care. That's there for the people who spent $5,000 on this game. And basically what I'm getting at with all this, and the good news, is that that's no longer a thing. The Real Money Auction House was taken down about a year ago, I believe now. It was March of last year, I think. Although it may, yeah, I believe so. And when it did, what they did was they increased the loot drops. They made it so loot was more tailored to the character you were using, had the right stats. They lessened the drop rates to almost zero of like if you've played these games before, the gray and white, the common and junk items that dropped. Once you're maxed out at 70, if you have the expansion, 60 if you don't. But once you're maxed out level, you don't see those anymore because those aren't useful. At the very beginning of the game, when you don't have a shield, any shield will do. But when you've already got rare and legendary things, having all these junk drops was really just a pain and filled up your inventory or cluttered up the ground. So they kind of made it more streamlined. And what that did was that kept the sort of Diablo grind feel that the game has always had, all the games have had, that every game like this has, where you're looking for new loot and upgrades. It wouldn't be much of a game without that, because if you followed the story from the last two games, it's interesting, but you don't want to play through it a million times. So, yeah, aside from the fact that it stays interesting because of the loot drops now, that you're always looking for something better. My monk and witch doctor, I actually spent a good amount of time figuring out builds, and you can pretty much do when you hit max level, if you get a full load of rare items with some pretty good stats, you can do Torment 1, which unlocks the ability to do to get new legendaries and better legendaries and new set pieces so that you can progress beyond that. And like I said, I'm playing Torment 4. It goes up to Torment 6, and each Torment level gets progressively more difficult. Monsters have more health and everything like that. But it's I'm playing Torment 4 on my monk, and then my witch doctor I can do Torment 5. I've pretty much got the builds that I'm using with them like pretty tailored, pretty perfected as far as that goes. The only thing I'd need to do is, if I wanted to do Torment 6, I would have to sacrifice a little bit of damage or a little bit of something for a little more like health regen or survivability, because on those high Torment levels, things hit you hard. There's definitely monsters, and especially the rare monsters, that hit you for, a quarter, a half, 3/4 of your health in one shot. So you have to be really careful, and that becomes a sort of balancing game. How fast do I kill stuff versus how long do I want to survive? And I think that's a good way to do it, because you hit max level, you might be doing expert or master difficulty for a little bit, but you get a few items, you go into Torment 1, and that's where it really starts now. That's where the grind starts, and I think Blizzard understands that. Because they've made everything more tailored to you, and you get more drops for your character as opposed to just like, oh, I'm a mage and I got 3 strength items in a row. That doesn't happen anymore. What happens is the 1 to 70 grind is really easy, really short. The other video I put up is just a bunch of goofy clips and Danny and I messing around and playing through from the beginning, but we made it through Act 1 in like 3 hours and 45 minutes, and that was like taking our time. And then, actually, I don't have a video for it, but last night we got through Acts 2 and 3 in about the same amount of time, and tonight we're probably going to play some more and get through 4 and 5 in about another 4 hours. So 12 hours in, you're pretty much going to be level 60 plus anyway, if you have the expansion. Once again, I'm assuming that, but without it, it's still the same idea. But so 15 hours in, you should be level 70, and at that point is when you get to really sort of, everything's numbers in this game. As you can see, there's numbers everywhere, but you get to see yourself numerically get better. Like, the monsters no longer get harder. If you're level 70 and you're doing Torment 1, the monsters stay the same difficulty the entire time. So that means that you when you increase your damage output by 10%, you see things die that much faster. And eventually, it gets to the point where you're just, tearing through these packs of elites and stuff, which, as you can see here, my Witch Doctor isn't because I'm on Torment 5. And it's the second hardest difficulty, so yeah, it's supposed to be hard. But yeah, you'll see yourself tearing through these packs, and eventually you'll be like, okay, I have gotten some stuff. I have some more legendaries. I maybe have a couple set pieces with bonuses. I've increased the stats on some of the rares I have to be more right for the class or build or skills that I'm using. And with that, you can be like, I'll try Torment 2. And if you do it and you get absolutely slaughtered, if it's taking you forever, you need to increase your damage a lot. But if you're getting like one hit by things, you need to increase your resistances or armor or life regen, or, well, I guess that only helps if you're not getting one hit. But all those things make you more durable, and you get to sort of balance that. And eventually, if you go into Torment 2 and you're like, okay, this is a little tough, but I can survive it, well, then it's worth it to do it, because you get more gold, you get more experience for your Paragon levels, which is the brilliant idea they came up with for when you hit 70. It's a way to continue leveling. I think I'm currently Paragon 257. You might have seen actually that happen in the Monk gameplay. But each one of those points goes towards additional stats or attack speed or critical or life regen or life on hit or a bunch of other things. There's a huge menu for it, and you can choose what to put those points towards, so you can use that to either boost things that your character needs help with, or further boost things that you're already good in. Like if you have a character that's based off critical hit chance, which in the super high Torment difficulties, you have to have a lot of critical hit chance. But if you really have things that require critical hit chance, things that proc on critical hits, then you can increase that even more. I think with your Paragon levels, if you put 50 points into it, you can actually get an extra 10% chance, which doesn't seem like much, but if you go from 50% chance to critical to 60% chance to get a critical, it's going to help a lot with those skills that use that. Anyway, I know I'm rambling a lot, but I have been playing a lot of Diablo lately, and it's been a while, and I forgot how much fun it really is. Even solo, even playing with these high-level characters that there isn't a whole lot I can upgrade still, it was fun for a couple games just to sort of get back into it and feel insane when doing these rifts that I'm doing. I believe the Rift Guardian at the end of the Witch Doctor gameplay here is actually something like 2.6 billion health. It is billion. It's 2.4 or 2.6 billion health, which is, when you start the game and you're hitting for 6 damage, just the fact that you can eventually get your character to the point where you can do 2.6 billion health in a reasonable amount of time. There's such a slope. It's like climbing Mount Everest. You get to the top or anywhere near the top, and you kind of look around you and you look back down and you see where you've came from, and you just kind of revel in the fact that, I'm doing this. I've built this character and I'm able to accomplish this now. And for what it's worth, even though it's not nearly as impressive as actually climbing Mount Everest, it's still, it's what games, you have to feel accomplished when you're playing a game. You have to feel like there's a point. And this game does that really well. This game actually succeeds on all levels in that respect. Now that they've changed everything and no more auction house and you can do it all yourself and it's not millions of hours of time taken, it's really just one of those things where it's a good game now. It's good. But I guess the real question is, if you're already a fan of action RPGs, if you're even a fan of the old Diablos, is this for you? And if you still play Diablo 2 because you think it's the best game ever invented, which I'm not hating on, it was an amazing game, you might not like this game because it's not that hardcore. You really get to choose your sort of how fast you go. Now, if you want to start on like expert difficulty from level 1 on your first character, you can do that. And if you want to try Torment 1 the instant you get to 70 and struggle through it, you can do that. But there's no more potion spamming. You get to use your potion once every 60 seconds, I believe. So you really, it's more gear oriented. There is a point where you just won't have a chance. It goes from being a challenge to being impossible. Because you'll just meet up with a group of somethings that are faster than you and will one-shot you. And that's just the way it is. So if you're a huge Diablo 2 fan and don't want anything else, this might not be your thing. And if you're already playing Path of Exile and or Torchlight 2, and those games are awesome, and you don't see any reason to get another action RPG because those are perfect for you, then yeah, you might not like this one. However, if you want an action RPG that allows you to play at your own pace and is just casual enough to be it walks the fine line between I can pick it up for 20 minutes, do a rift run and enjoy myself, and it's so easy, I'm just melting everything. Like I said, but that's a choice. If you play the game on normal, at any point in time, you're pretty much going to just steamroll through things. So if that's what you want to do, and you just want to play it casually, you can do that. And you can do that on the fly. If one day you get home from school or work or a vacation, and you're like, I want to sit down and play some Diablo. You put it on, Master or something, and you're just like, I'm too tired for this. You can still, knock it down to expert or hard or normal, and you can just tear through a few things and maybe mess with builds for your character, mess with different skill builds and stuff, and mess with new items and see if there's something that might work better. But yeah, it's not going to be for everyone, because this game has gone through a lot of changes for the better, because it was nearly unplayable at the beginning. Once you maxed out, it was just a slog. It was a pain. But now it's fun. It's even more fun with friends. I'm not going to lie. It's way fun to play with friends, and I never really did before. But Danny and I are having a blast, so that's going to keep happening, and I might upload some more goofy clips from that, and we may even do like a hardcore Let's Play type thing where if you die, your character dies, and that's it. So we might do one of those. But as it stands, I think this game was completely worth $80 for me. Now, I don't know if I'd ever put $80 down all at once, but I put $40 down when the game came out, and another $40 when the expansion came out. So I would say if you're interested, but you feel a little on the fence about it, just buy the base game first for $40, and if you really get into it and you want that extra content, then you can buy the expansion. Then you can buy Reaper of Souls, and it does open up a lot of things. These rifts are a great way. You can grind through them, and you get tons of experience. You get tons of loot because you actually get twice as many legendaries as you would otherwise. Rifts are 100% increased chance to get legendaries. So it's up to you, but I would say, from my perspective, from a guy that's liked action RPGs for a while, from a guy that owns Torchlight and Path of Exile and played a lot of Diablo 2, this game is probably the most accessible. I don't know. Path of Exile gets very difficult. Torchlight 2 is great and awesome and all, and it has mods, which is nice, but it doesn't have quite the visceral feel of this game, the feel that you are building the exact character you want to build, and it makes a huge difference and has this huge impact. So basically, This game is one of the top-notch competitors in the field. So if you're a fan and you've been curious and haven't tried it, or maybe if you played it when it first came out but you haven't come back to it, give it a shot again, because it has been fixed. That's all there is to say. It's been fixed. So I'm going to let you guys go because I feel another cough coming on. But I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.